There's a very large chicken thawing in my fridge right now, Heather. Not a turkey, a chicken. This Thanksgiving is going to be off the rails.
Is it just me, or are we on day 6 of Black Friday?
It does seem to be a week-long thing now. I remember the first time I heard the term Giving Tuesday. Like, what? We're still giving? More giving? I mean, giving is great. I want to give, but we're just inventing things now.
And only in America do people shop till they drop, exactly one day after giving all the thanks for what they already have.
Oh, boy. Have such a good day. Hello, world. Welcome back.
Such a good day. Have such a good day.
Wow, Heather, we're like Daft Punk out here.
I think we're both over-caffeinated, and I'm very jittery this morning. Yes, welcome to the show that unpacks the absurdity of everyday life for your entertainment. It's kind of like cheap therapy that won't set you back. Welcome to the show. We are so happy to have you on this holiday week. How y'all doing?
Yeah, how you doing out there? I've been thinking about, well, besides the very large chicken in the fridge, which, by the way, is way less than a turkey. Just if anybody is like, I like chicken, I eat chicken a lot, what's the big diff? You and I have something in common. It's like a very large chicken, a nice chicken from Whole Foods for like $15. Mm-hmm. It's not $40. It's not, this is, I mean, you got to cook it. So there's that.
And I feel like turkey can be kind of dry sometimes.
Turkey can be very dry.
It can be drier in general than chicken. Even if you ground turkey can be just like, I don't know.
I mean, I'm a fan of turkey. I don't eat
a
ton of it. I mean, unless it's sort of like sliced, sandwich stuff.
Well, and it puts you to sleep, and chicken doesn't.
I don't know if chicken has tryptophan or if that's just turkey. I'm not aware.
Yeah, I'm not
I
sure
think
either.
it's people always go, well, it's the tryptophan. I'm like, no, it's because you ate 4 huge meals and then sat down to watch football and fell asleep. That's what happened.
I will say the other day I was thinking about all the turkeys that are being bought and then previously slaughtered, and it kind of bummed me out. I was like, I've always just been an animal lover, and I was vegan for a long time, not anymore, and I often think about doing it again because of how much I love animals, but I know it wouldn't move the needle very much if I stopped eating turkeys.
It wouldn't,
and
but
chickens,
hey, that's what we always say about, well, I'm just one person. I can't make a difference. It's like, well, if everybody did that, then it would make a big difference.
True.
That is, I have given up trying to convince people to eat the way that I eat. And, I eat like shit a lot of times. But I also, I'm vegetable centric. I need my veggies. If I don't have veggies for a couple of days, I feel like I'm going crazy. Give me cruciferous.
I have to have them like every
give me
day,
arugula. Give me cabbage. I don't care. Give me a big old zucchini.
Give me a rutabaga.
Root vegetables. It's like the only way that my brain works. If I were to just eat chips and salsa, which I would like to do, in theory, every day.
Well, that's vegetables, sort of.
I know my limits, but I'm with you on in theory, being vegan is a great idea. In practice, I don't know. That would be hard. It would be possible. I know I could do it, but I don't know how much I would enjoy it.
Thinking about it makes my eye twitch. In fact, I'm on day 2 of an eye twitch.
Oh, dear.
And I'm like, is it too much caffeine? I didn't sleep that well last night. I just kind of like woke up early, wide awake, but also really tired. It was weird. It was not a great feeling. But yeah, this eye twitch is just making me crazy.
Oh, I haven't had one of those in a while, but I know the feeling. There are various muscle twitches that I get, every so often. In a shoulder or a calf or, whatever.
Sure.
But the eye twitch, because that's the one where sometimes
worst.
You'll be talking to somebody and you don't want to be like, sorry, let me interrupt you and talk about my eye twitch, but you feel like they can see it.
No, yeah, it's worse thinking they can see it, because then it makes you feel like a crazy person.
Well, or that you have to like tell everybody about it. Like, hey, if my eye is twitching, like, I know, I'm aware. Sorry.
Yeah, and half the time they don't see it and they're like, okay, dude, yeah, whatever.
Oh, I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me during a, like a video show or something where I'm like, everyone's gonna, the audience will write in later and be like, Sarah's got really wonky eyes, like something terrible is happening to her brain, and nobody ever notices.
You know what's maybe a little weirder than the eye twitch, Sarah, is the nose, like the side of the nose twitch. Have you ever had that?
No, I don't think so.
That is strange. Where you're like, huh, yeah, that makes you feel even more maniacal than the eye twitch.
The only thing that the eye twitch is probably the worst one. The only thing that I know it's some sort of, going back to food, an allergy thing on some level, is that sometimes my ears itch. They're not twitching,
I get that sometimes too.
but they itch in a,
like on the inside.
yeah, like it's like you can't,
Yeah,
like
totally. I
no
get
Q-tip
that
is
too.
gonna help with this. It's like it just feels itchy.
Well, you're not supposed to use Q-tips in your ears.
Well,
Sarah, just
I
FYI.
don't, I'm very,
You stay
I
surface.
stay surface. It just makes a shower feel complete to me. But yes, I know
agree.
it's
'Cause then
Q-tips
it's all
can
wet
make it
in there
worse
and-
if
yeah.
if you're going too crazy. But it's like, sometimes there's like an itchy ear thing that it's like an inner ear
Oh, I
itch
get that for
oh
sure.
god, it
Totally.
makes me
And
want to
the
die.
only way you can get it is like put your finger in there and like jostle it around, you know?
And
Like,
even that, like the finger is like,
then you look even crazier.
Like my ear canal, like the finger only does so much. God, my ears are itching just talking about
Yeah.
this. I'm sorry to everybody who also has itchy ears, but I remember when I was a real little kid, this was not a problem I had, although I had like crazy hay fever allergies. Friend of mine, when she drank milk, would get itchy ears. We're like 7 years old. So this is a really long time ago, but I remember it was like, Nadine cannot have milk or her ears are going to itch. And, it was just something I thought was like, oh, that's like so like specific and weird. And now I'm like, oh man, I know it. I feel it. I hope I'm not allergic to milk. I really don't drink or eat a lot of dairy in general. Well, sometimes I do
I actually
eat a lot of cheese.
I thought I was allergic to maybe dairy or wheat. Sometimes getting a little itchy after dinner. But my food panel that I got recently came totally clear. I'm not allergic to like any seafood.
Well, that's a relief.
Any milk. It's kind of great. Yeah, I was actually sort of thinking maybe something would pop up. I would like to get the more thorough where it tests you for, it'll go deeper, like avocados and bananas and I don't like very specific items. Nightshades, that kind of thing. But
Well, I know we're going to talk a little bit more about allergies later in the show, but I thought I would take you all on a little journey that I had yesterday to Kaiser Hospital. Now, I was not going there in any sort of emergency mode. I just had a pre-existing appointment with my oncology team. I am at this point kind of just coasting. No news is good news, but they want to see me every few months. And, just,
Yeah,
yeah,
that makes
I mean, of
sense.
course, it's like, I prefer somebody to want to see me rather than me just floating out into the wind by myself. Anyway, my main oncology doctor, so not a surgeon, not a plastic surgeon, because I've had, I don't know, my oncology department spans many areas. This is just a straight up medical oncologist. This is like, what does Sarah need to be taking for the rest of her life to make sure she never gets sick again? And we have had, some hits and misses over the last couple of years. So my actual doctor, she has a team, and one of her RNs, I think it's, I don't know exactly, but she's a nurse of some kind, but works in oncology and has for like 30 years. She was that was who my appointment was with. I've never met her before, and I came in, how you doing? Little, just kind of like little lump and bump test, nothing crazy. Didn't have to even get into a gown, and she's looking at my chart, and she's like, well, you've had a very interesting couple of years. And I was like, yeah, no shit. Yeah. what else can I provide you information wise, because I'd kind of like to get back home and take my dog on a walk. And she was, and I know this is like it, patient confidentiality, and, I wouldn't say her name or anything. It was almost as if, because I've had a little, let's call it, mood stabilization issues, over the last few months, getting on a regular course of medical treatment. Did not have a great summer, lots of tears for not a great reason type thing. And she was like, it was like, I like to think of it this way. It probably was just random, but I feel like she was given to me, like, Sarah Lane might be a difficult patient, and so she's gonna go and see. We're gonna give Sarah to our sort of therapist, pep talker / person who can prescribe medication. She was like an angel. We were like holding hands and, kind of talking through things. She has had her own medical issues, which are different from mine, but were, fairly dramatic, even though she works in the healthcare sector. And, like at one point I was sort of like, oh, I think I'm going to cry, and she's like, I've got tissues, I'll cry too. And, we were like, oh, it was like such a funny, weird,
that's cute.
Yeah, like moment. And the details are, again, they're mine, but it was a very just like therapeutic 30 minutes of my life, give or take. Then she was like, well, you got to go upstairs and get blood taken. And I was like, right now? And she's like, yeah, got to do it. I'm like, all right. So here's where my story gets fun, because I know that's not that interesting, what I told you until now. So when I was doing chemo, about like 48 hours before each chemo session, I had to go get blood taken because they wanted to make sure white blood cell, red blood cell, the counts were in congruence with being okay after a chemo session, because it's, going to deplete your body of a lot of stuff that you need to fight off infection, et cetera, et cetera. And I never had an issue with that. I mean, I didn't like to do it, but I never had my blood come back and then be like, well, you can't do chemo tomorrow. I got close a couple times, but I was always within the range where they were comfortable not changing my schedule, which was very important to me because I wanted it to be over as soon as possible. So on my last blood draw of that cycle, which would have been in February of this year, so, almost a year ago, I was in there. It was never really that much of a hassle for me to go. But the woman who took my blood said, you're in oncology, right? And I said, yeah. And she goes, you've got a card. Like, you can always just like be first in line, always. Like we even have like a set of stairs, like where you can come up from oncology and just like totally like skip the line. I was like, well, if all goes well, I never have to do this again because this is my last time. But good to know. I don't know why anybody didn't tell me that. That's like, it's like, getting in front of the line at Disneyland, honestly, at this point in my life. And she was like, yeah, well, I don't know why anybody didn't tell you either. I'm like, a lot of things I wonder about healthcare systems. But thank you for the tip. If I ever have to do this again, I'll remember this. So anyway, yesterday, after being told, go upstairs, go to the lab, I was like, all right, it's cancer card time, because I didn't think I was going to do this, and I'm somewhat in a hurry for other things in my day. So I go upstairs, I take a number. I know all places are different, but Kaiser, which is the hospital that I go to, I mean, the blood lab is like, there's hundreds of people in there. It's a big operation, and people are there for all sorts of reasons, whatever. We all just smile and nod to each other and don't ask questions. Anyway, I get a number. My number gets called, sort of like at the DMV. Your number gets called, and then you go in, to the particular station you've been assigned to. And you can tell as I get up and walk in that a bunch of people, like sometimes like, some of them are like women with screaming babies on their laps are looking at me like, wait, she just got here. Where's she going in there for? So I sit down at the station, the blood lab station, which that's like far away from the waiting room at this point. And she's kind of, looking at my card and looking at my ID. And she goes, well, wait a second. Oh, I don't know why we called you so quickly. There's a lot of people in here today. And there's kind of a long line. I think there might have been a mistake. And I was like, yeah, but I just came upstairs from oncology. And she's like, yeah, well, okay. What's your name? And it's like looking me up on the system. And I was like, yeah, I've got this card. And I like take it out like a magician or something. And I give it to her. And she's like, say no more. All right. Took the blood. I was out in like 30 seconds from then. It went real fast.
Amazing.
And it was like, This is one of those things where it's like, I don't actually like things like skipping in line at all. And I didn't feel like triumphant that somebody had to wait slightly longer because I did that. But I was like, I never got to do this because I was told too late. I never got to do this before. And I felt invincible, Heather. I felt like the Hulk. Like I like walked out of there like, let's bump some Rihanna and get this party started.
Well, there's got to be something. It's one good thing about having cancer.
Yes,
I guess,
it
right?
is the smallest silver lining. The thinnest.
Very, very small.
Yes.
But
yes. But it worked.
Well,
it worked.
I'm really happy for you.
Thank you. Yeah.
And it can be really grueling waiting in line to get your blood drawn because that's when I start to get faint because I can't stop thinking about it. Like, oh, my turn's coming up. Like, I just want to get this over with, and the longer you wait, the more you spiral. So that is a really big perk.
Yeah, it is.
Sure. Well, I'm glad you're of good health, Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Looking
blood
good,
work a little TBD, but we're not in a position where we're all that worried about it. There's stuff to, I'm not really ever gonna, when people say, I know we've talked about this on the show before, where people say, oh, so are you like cancer free? It's like, no, I don't know. I mean, maybe, I don't really understand why some people get the clean bill of health and they just like go on with their lives and it's in the past. That's not really how it works, at least with my kind of cancer. You just maintain, moderate, check in every so often. And again, no news is good news. So all good.
Well, this is a good week to celebrate, Sarah.
Indeed.
A lot of things to celebrate.
A week to give thanks, one might say.
We have to give thanks. One thing not to celebrate is Black Friday. Boy, is it mayhem, Sarah. I can't believe how ridiculous we've gotten. Emails have gone totally bonkers. Like I literally have like probably quadruple the amount of emails in the morning that I normally do. Obviously, part of it is my fault. I need to unsubscribe more. But I get it. You're having a huge sale, huge early access. It's epic. Biggest sale of the year. 25%, 50%, 30%. Calm down. It's so much of a post-apocalyptic shop to you drop society these days, all about sales. These gift guides, the holiday gift guides are off the chain. I've never seen anything like it. I remember there being like The Strategist would have one, maybe the New York Times, Goop, sort of the usual suspects, but I feel like everybody has their opinion now on what you should buy your husband or your daughter or your friend who has everything. I remember when people would stand in line like overnight, like physically at like a Best Buy to get the deals. I'm kind of dating myself, but does this happen still? I don't really know because everything is on the internet. But yeah, it's a crazy time. It feels like, well, it doesn't feel like it did start early this year. It started a week in advance, I believe. And I even Googled it because I was like, what?
Yeah, like, isn't Black Friday the day after Thanksgiving? Start? Like, why are we talking about it? I'm with you.
I was confused.
Yeah, well, because again, I feel like there are a lot of quote holidays that are completely tied to consumption. And this is not new. We did not invent this in 2023. But it makes me confused where I'm like, is Black Friday just like a state of mind? Or is it like a day? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty wild how quickly it started. I was truly confused. And so I Googled it. And of course, it just said, historically, Black Friday happens day after Thanksgiving on the 24th. And I'm like, but I put like 2023 because I'm like, it started sooner. Like it did. Like I know it did. But with all that being said, there's things that we can do to avoid the craziness and the eye twitches. I've been unsubscribing as much as I can from everything. There's like a handful of brands that I'm kind of dedicated to for one reason or another. That can be like, I don't know, a good lamp, cool hats, I don't know, art, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I have definitely indulged in a big sale here and there, but I probably wouldn't have if I hadn't been subscribed to so many. So it's kind of my own damn fault, and also good marketing, y'all out there. But sometimes the report spam button doesn't do the trick, because you'll still get those emails. At least that's been my experience. It doesn't always kill it altogether. You've got to physically unsubscribe your email, open up a browser, go to their website, do all that. I'm noticing such a difference where I'm still getting stuff, but it's maybe 50% cleaned up. Oh, it's a good feeling, and I really do feel like it's a vicious cycle because I won't even be thinking about something and it will remind me that I have something in my cart, or it will remind me of this thing I don't need, but then I'm like, ooh, but it's so great, and then so I'm really trying to figure out how to balance it and not be totally unsubscribe to certain things that I enjoy, but also, try to avoid that really easy click with your credit card saved and all that. I'd like to know from y'all out there, do you give in on Black Friday? Are you a shop till you drop kind of guy, gal, or are you more of a turkey indulger? And then you don't shop, you just eat more turkey
or
sandwiches.
Maybe you're a dual, turkey and shop.
Yeah, maybe you like both.
Yeah.
Email us at hi@havesuchagoodday.com.
Tell us about your shopping habits after the tryptophan kicks in, okay? We would like to hear about that.
Please do. Early and often.
I'm with you, Heather. With very few exceptions, I am an unsubscriber. I have a few newsletters that I do care about. I don't even read all of them, but I don't want to unsubscribe. It's good info. And I also have a linen sheet company, because you know how I love my linen sheets, that sends me I'm not even kidding, 4 emails a day. And it's always use code linen20 to get 20% off. And then I ignore it. And then it's use code linen30 to get 30% off, where I'm like, how far are we going to go?
Or come back to your cart for 10%.
Yeah.
They just really coerce you.
Okay, offer ends at midnight. Use linen40 for 40% off, where I'm like, well, what if I had pulled the trigger on the 20? Then I would have not saved as much money. What is wrong with you people? Jeez. You got to move some sheets.
It's out of hand.
It is out of hand.
It's out of hand. You got to move some sheets. But do you think people still line up at Macy's and Best Buy? I mean, does that even happen?
I really have no idea. That's never something that I've been that has appealed to me.
I've never done that personally.
No, running around Toys R Us to get a Cabbage Patch Kid or whatever. I don't know. That just sounds.
Oh, I did that back in the day. But
Maybe my grandma did, because she's the one who got me a Cabbage Patch once, which is probably in a box somewhere in this very garage that I'm sitting in. Thanks, Mom, for not throwing away any of my toys. They were supposed to be for my children, and look where that got us. But yeah, no, the Black Friday thing, I feel like maybe post-pandemic, it's just not a thing anymore. Oh, another thing I wanted to mention, when I was at the hospital yesterday, just doing my stuff. Again, nothing crazy, but it's a very large facility with a lot of people there for a lot of reasons. everybody was wearing a mask. Now, Kaiser, as well as I believe, this is in California, so your state may vary, or where you are in the world, but I believe it was a nationwide thing. The mask mandate was dropped, I think it was May. No, it was actually earlier than that, because I remember the first time I went there and other people weren't wearing masks, and it was like April. And they said, well, I mean, do if you want, but you don't have to. And so I was sort of like, over the last couple of months, like, wow, it's like, isn't it crazy that I can be in my own hospital and people aren't wearing masks? I mean, all the healthcare workers are still, just because they're, they have to be there all day. That makes sense to me. But as a patient, it was something where it was like, all right, I kind of feel like this is just real life again. Anyway, I walked in there yesterday, look around, and the way that I had to go into this particular area of the hospital leads me by a very busy pharmacy where a lot of people are just waiting in line, sitting around, and, all that stuff. And, everybody was wearing masks, and I thought, I probably should have brought one. But I don't really have a mask in my pocket at the ready these days.
So you were the only one without one?
I was not the only one without one, but it was to the point where I looked around, I felt weird, and I went back to the front desk that's closest to, my entry, and I said, do you have an extra mask? And she says,
they usually do.
And she did. Yeah, I mean, it's Kaiser. But
okay.
But I just didn't really think about it. And all of a sudden I was like, flu season, I mean, I don't want to hurt anybody, and I also don't want to be hurt. It's not a big deal to wear a mask. I just hadn't done it in a while. And yeah, I mean, there's signs everywhere, like we strongly suggest, but it's not mandatory type thing. And I'm like, you know what? This is not hard for me to do. It just makes me feel better. So, a little bit of it felt a little bit like, gosh, oh no, are we reverting back to the yesteryear that none of us want to revisit? And I think it's really kind of time of year, and people just kind of get sick when the weather gets cold. But
my neighbors just had COVID. I mean, there's a lot of people that I know who have just recovered from it. So yeah, 'tis the season, indeed.
'Tis the season. Well, 'tis also the season for something wrong to happen to my car, Heather. Now, I like to joke that I bought a lemon being a car that just consistently breaks down. My car is really, it's a great car. I love it. It's a Volvo. I never had a Volvo before. I love this car. I run it kind of hard. My dog's in the backseat most of the time. There's dog hair everywhere. I'm not the best driver, and I hit a curb here and there, type stuff. And, over the years, it was sort of like, my car is not that old. It's, I don't know, 5 years old almost by now. But yeah, I mean, it's relatively new car. And, a little ding, a little bump, then sort of like a larger ding, then sort of like some body work needs to be, handled, et cetera, which I recently did a whole thing. So outwardly, the car looks great. I mean, you take it through a car wash and it looks darn new, besides a little scrape here and there. The other day, I'm driving and my car, I'm sure your car does this as well, Heather, pretty much all modern cars do, is like, hey, your front right tire is low. Like tire pressure thing, in my center console, where I'm like, whatever, I don't know. I'll just pretend that didn't happen and keep driving. And I saw some people at the, I don't know, grocery store where I was at. And these guys, this is like early in the morning, and he was like, yeah, your tire's low. And I was like, is it? Like, how do you see that? Yeah, he goes, well, I can tell. And I was like, that's funny because my car told me the same thing. Maybe it really is low, and I'm thinking, oh, do I have a hole in my tire? I've got this thing in the car where you just go like, start auto pressure thing. And then it I don't know, does tire pressure things. And then it says, okay, you're fine. So I did that. But then I've also noticed recently that since I got some extensive body work done on my car, which is again like 6 months ago, my car wants to pull to the right. It's not crazy, but you know that feeling where you're like, oh, not that you want to like ever drive hands free. I mean, unless you're doing some autonomous thing, which is not what I'm talking about, but you can kind of like, you're gonna go straight on a straight road for a short amount of time if you had to, like, I don't know, reach for a Kleenex or something, right? Mm-hmm. My car is not allowing me to do that. I mean, if my hands are not, kind of veering left a little bit the whole time, it's going to veer right. So I'm like, oh, there's some wheelbase thing. Did I ruin it with the tire pressure the other day? I don't know. I don't know how these things work. I don't even know what my engine looks like. I've never looked at it. And so there's like these little things here and there. There's also, and again, I know first world problem, big time. And I am thankful for my car. Volvo, love ya. But another thing is that I've got sensors, right? So it's like if you get too close to, when you're backing up, you've got your beep, 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 to let you know that you're going to hit something if you're not paying attention. And, the video as well. And then I've also got that in like the front left and right hand sides so that, I don't know, if you're making a crazy U-turn or something, you're not going to, hit a center divide. Mm-hmm. Well, something in my car now is just like hypersensitive. So it's like at any stoplight, if there's a car next to me in the next lane, totally in their lane, we're not in any danger of hitting each other. My car is like beep, 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 beep. There's something on the right-hand side of you. And every time it freaks me out because I think, oh, is there like a bicyclist? Or something that actually is really, really close to me that I haven't seen. No, there's something just going on with my sensors.
Yeah, your computer's kind of fritzing a little bit.
My computer's, it's having a problem. So I'm like, oh man.
It's funny, that happened to me the other day where I was just in my lane, stopping at a red light, and I was like far away from any other car, and it did that beeping thing, and it put on the rear like camera, and I'm like, huh? Like nothing is there. I think sometimes it just gets confused. Also, I was told when it rains, it kind of can mess up the sensors.
That's possible. It's rained a lot around here recently, so yeah, that might be part of it.
Yeah.
It's just jarring. It's not even really, I would not even consider, I mean, feeling like I'm well aware of every other vehicle / pedestrian, stroller, dog, anything that's around me is a good thing. I mean, the last thing we all want is to not be cognizant of, who else is.
Or a cute little fox.
Yeah. Like you want to be a defensive and very aware driver. Totally.
Yeah.
But
for sure.
My car is getting to the point where it's like, all right, let's just take a chill pill, man, because you're making me stress.
Well, my car I bought as a pre-owned, but I'm on like a payment plan, and I can either buy it all together in a few months. So I got an email saying, "Here's our new inventory, Heather. Pick out another car. Before your time is up in February or whatever." And I can't believe the time is up already, but So my whole thing is like, I don't know what to do because I want to get an electric, but I'm not quite ready. We've talked about this before. It's like, do I get a hybrid? Yeah. The car thing is definitely going to be, I don't even know if it's worth buying a car anymore, because then, I mean, my car is already feeling really analog compared to where cars are at now, in terms of like buttons, like cars are like coming without buttons now. It's all going to be, screens and everything. And so I love my car, but
there are a lot of even, car aficionados, car enthusiasts who say, ugh, bring back the buttons,
I totally love a good button. I think we've covered this in the show, but the other thing is I don't even really like I don't like how the new models are looking more and more like space-like, I just don't like it. I miss car shapes from the 70s, so I'm like, maybe I should just buy my car because it's only going to go kind of downhill for me. I just feel like I don't need a super duper duper high-tech car.
Right.
And I feel like you're going to be you're not going to have a choice. It's going to be whatever's out there, whatever's hooked up to a computer, whatever is easiest to manufacture. I mean, I don't know, but it's an interesting thing because I guess maybe this happens as you age, as you kind of get more attached to something that you were maybe used to growing up with. And so it's becoming a little bit more like it's too evolved. I'm like, slow down. Anyway, cars, gosh, money pits, necessary evils. But real quick, I just want to mention, I don't want to tell a long story about this, but I did recently get a revised allergy test because of, just wondering if I was allergic to certain new things up in the Northlands that I wasn't used to since I lived in SoCal in the desert for a long time, which I also had allergies there too. It's really hard to pinpoint like what you're sensitive to. And there's so many things, right? And then doctors will just say, just stop eating something for a month and then reintroduce it. And it's like, that is really difficult to do. Like really difficult. Because what if you happen to reintroduce it, but like it wasn't that like triggered? Like it's like anything I don't even know why you get allergy tests, because the one I recently got could be totally wrong. I got a blood test, which, both the skin and the blood tests have their own, they both can give you false negatives. And I opted for the blood test because the last time I got the skin test, they tested my skin before they did the test and it didn't react. And so something in my system was not letting the skin test work. And so I kind of just like, I'm just going to do this. Let's just get really specific here. I want like specific results. Well, the last one I got was 10 years ago, and I was like not allergic to cats or dogs or anything of major importance. The only thing was this hazelnut allergy I've supposedly had for 10 years, which was new to me in my early 40s. And then trees and grass and dust and some of the, standard stuff. This one came back, very high to dust mites, very high to certain trees, grasses, and very highly allergic to cats and dogs. And the funny thing is over the past few years, every time I've had a big allergy attack, my boyfriend would always say jokingly, "Oh, you're probably allergic to your cats." And I'd be like, "Shut up. I am not.
Right.
I know I'm not because I got this test 10 years ago." And, it's high probability that it would be wrong, but like, why even bother testing if it's going to be, there's so much possibility that you're going to have this false negative. So I either am very allergic to my animals or I'm not. I don't really know. Just life. You and your curveballs. You're crazy.
Yeah.
And
and
I'm going to continue living with animals. So there.
I know that is always the outcome that, when someone suggests like might be cats, I'm like, well, I guess I'll just be allergic then. Because, they're
exactly. I'm not going to get rid of my cats.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere.
And I'm going to get a dog. I'm getting a dog at some point. It's going to happen. And I'm probably going to be allergic to it. And I'm going to put my face in its belly. And that's the way it's going to be.
There is somebody, I don't remember what friend of mine is allergic to dogs. Now, cat allergy is pretty common.
More common. Yeah.
And I don't remember who it is. I mean, I wouldn't say it out loud anyway. But, just my brain is working. But I remember being like, allergic to dogs? I mean, who's allergic to a dog? I guess when I was a kid, my dog, there was always a family dog who had a dog house outside. I mean, the dog would come inside, but it was kind of an outdoor dog. And so maybe that it never really resonated with me that, yes, dog hair can be an allergy thing, just like cat hair, dander, all, animals in general. Also our, as obviously and I know too, allergies change over the years. Hormones change.
They do.
Just body makeup changes in a variety of ways. I mean, my hay fever as a kid was so bad that, I would just, there were just days where it was just like a blackout day. Like I couldn't really get out of bed and couldn't do anything. Totally disruptive. Can't stop sneezing. My back hurts. It really sucks. Now, if you experience that now, I am so sorry, because at some point I grew out of it. I don't have it anymore,
Yeah.
but I have skin allergies and various other kind of weird things that I didn't used to have. So it like morphed into something. I didn't really like grow out of allergies. I just got them in different ways. So maybe the cat and dog thing is something that you will also think of, at some point as that crappy era where you were allergic to your cats. I don't know.
Yeah, it's so strange. It's like, and then another big thing, and then we can wrap up this very show. Is I'm not allergic to hazelnuts anymore, which is like, okay, I know. I'm like, how is that possible? It's just so strange. Anyway, I'm not gonna. They told me don't go on and start eating, Nutella or anything,
Right.
but I still should steer clear. But come on, like, it just feels a little bit hilarious, actually. Like, was this? I just don't really understand how something could be so, go so extreme.
Well, and for anybody who's like, oh yeah, food allergy, whatever. Like Heather's hazelnut allergy was like life or death. Like there were a couple times where it was like EpiPen situation, like hospital,
Yeah.
like it was. The idea that you'd be like, well, maybe I reintroduced hazelnuts, like slowly is like kind of scary, right? After how
Yeah,
much you had to
totally.
like really, really worry about it and make sure that it wasn't in a brownie or a piece of cake or something.
Yeah, totally. Totally. It's craziness. Anyway, y'all write in and tell us about your allergies. We'd like to know the intricate details of your health.
Yes. Yes.
animal
You don't
life.
have to send us your blood work, okay? But if you want to talk about allergies or health or yes, a new dog that Heather should get sooner than later. I mean, I already have I like little shelter dogs all over the country, Heather, and I just do a little like save
I
for
know.
later, but I'm not going to do that to you
I
because
know.
that's a personal journey. But yes, I cannot
Yes.
wait. I cannot wait for the next
I
phase.
can't either. I'm like, what kind of dog am I gonna get? All right, we're gonna wrap this puppy up. Thanks y'all for listening. All y'all in the Discord, we're having a fun conversation. If you have any interest in joining our Discord at the $5 and up level on Patreon, please do. It's really, really fun. We're talking about traveling and being stuck in train stations and
The fun
and
stuff.
all kinds of other fun stuff.
Yes. And Heather's mentioned it, but I will again. Do email us early and often, hi@havesuchagoodday.com. And just a reminder that we love our patrons. We love all of you that aren't patrons. If you're on the fence thinking, maybe it's giving season for me, I could become a patron. We'd love to have you. Find out more at patreon.com/havesuchagoodday. And thanks to Stephen, who gave us a little raise on Patreon. We really appreciate that. That it warms my cold black heart, Stephen.
It really, really does, especially on this wild ride of a Thanksgiving Black Friday, second week of Black Friday week.
Second of many, apparently.
But yeah, hopefully we'll survive and we'll see you next week. Until then, I will remain Heather forever.
And I will be Sarah for, the chicken I'm about to eat on Thursday.
Have such a good day.
Bye.